Hi, I'm Scott Speck, Artistic Director of the Chicago Philharmonic, and it's Friday, April 10th. How are you holding up? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're getting enough music in your life. That's one of the things I've been struggling with, to get enough great music into my head, into my heart, into my soul during this time when we can't be performing for you live. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about the Chicago Philharmonic because it's a surprising organization. It certainly surprised me when I first encountered it. My first concert with the organization, I think, was back in 2012 or so. And I had pretty much probably the same impression you did. What an amazing ensemble this is. And it is, without a doubt, one of the jewels in Chicago's crown, and as the Chicago Tribune was quoted as saying, one of the nation's finest orchestras. But there's something else about it that puts it in the company of just a handful, less than a handful, just a couple fingers worth of other orchestras in this country. And that's the fact that it is musician run. It really is a majority musician organization, and that makes all the difference. And many of those members serve on one of 7 or 8 committees that we have at the Chicago Philharmonic. There's an artistic programming and policies committee. There's a personnel committee, a patron services committee, a development and endowment committee, that is fundraising, a financial services committee, a chamber music programming and policies committee, so having to do with all those marvelous chamber music performances all throughout the Chicagoland area, including very notably at City Winery, and a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, as well as a musicians advisory council, which has 35 members, all musicians, and the board of directors, which is also majority musicians. All the committees, everything is majority musicians in the Chicago Philharmonic. This turns this orchestra, this organism of humanity, into a different kind of animal than you might find on the stages of many symphony halls throughout the country. For one thing, since it's not a top-down organization, there's really an incredible sense of ownership on the part of our musicians, as should be the case. I don't hire the musicians, they hire me. So the relationship between me, the conductor, and the orchestra is very different than it is in many other orchestras that I have worked with and currently work with. One thing that's delightful is this marvelous collaborative spirit that we have on stage, in rehearsal, and in performance. And as I mentioned, I really have noticed the sense of ownership that our musicians take. One example is, I remember the first concert I ever gave as conductor with the Chicago Philharmonic. We were rehearsing Beethoven's 7th Symphony, and I realized it was my mistake. I had misunderstood the rehearsal schedule, and the last rehearsal, the final rehearsal, the dress rehearsal, was half an hour shorter than I had thought. And so I had been planning to end the rehearsal with a full run-through of Beethoven's 7th, which I really love to do in rehearsals with orchestras, and with a full run-through so they know what the performance will be like. But as it turned out, since we had half an hour less than I thought, we did not have time for the run-through of Beethoven's 7th. And I expressed this to the orchestra, and one of the wind players piped up and said, "Don't worry, we got this." And they did. And it was just phenomenal. And it was the beginning of a beautiful relationship. We've worked together now in our on-stage concerts, as well as performances with the Joffrey Ballet in the pit, and for other, I guess I would say, productions that are calling for an orchestra, and we join them. We've worked together probably 200 times, maybe more, over the years. And so the musicians and I know each other very, very well. And there's this wonderful trust that goes both ways when we're rehearsing and preparing a program. Very, very often in rehearsal, I will ask the musicians what their ideas are. And my goal as a conductor is not to dictate a beat to our orchestra for them to follow, but to somehow illuminate a consensus among all of us so that we are speaking with one voice when we're making music together. The best music comes from chamber ensembles like string quartets and trios and quintets, where every member has a very important voice. And with the Chicago Philharmonic, even though it's a much bigger ensemble, we really feel that everyone does have a voice. That's what we miss putting on for you. That's what we miss doing for you, experiencing, not just for you, but for ourselves. And as I've mentioned before, it's for various reasons. I mean, first of all, we miss you. We want to see you again. We want to be with you. But also, I can't stop thinking about the fact that our musicians, all of them, depend on freelancing for their way of life. And all of us are waiting for the time when we can safely get back together again and continue our careers. So that's just a little about what I'm doing, what I usually do with the Philharmonic, and what I really miss doing for them and for you and for me. So until next time, have a great week, get some music in your life, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.